On behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants and panelists here, hearty welcome to Dr. Gururaj Karagi sir. Hearty welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Request
Thank you very much.
Panindra to introduce sir.
Yeah. So the most interesting topic: role of parents in shaping mind of children in pandemic situation. For this, we have Dr. Gururaj Karagi sir. So to briefly introduce, he is a doctorate in chemistry and has published over 22 research papers in international journals. He is a life fellow of Electrochemical Society of India. He has served on the boards of management of few medical universities, also served as a member of state research group for implementation of total quality management in the colleges of Karnataka. He was principal of VVS First Grade College for Women for 16 years. He was director of the VVS Academic and Administrative College, founder, principal, and academic director of Jain International Residential School, and founder director of International Academy for Creative Teaching, and is instrumental in building over 85 schools of very high quality all over the world. He is a member of governing body of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Simla. He is well-known columnist and completed 2,300 columns. His 15 books entitled Karunalu Ba Belake are immensely popular and have seen several editions. He has written many articles on Sufi philosophy and authored 22 books. He is also known for his daily spiritual discourses on bilingual TV channel Sri Shankara with over 500 programs on Dasa Sahitya and Vachana Sahitya. He is considered as an outstanding motivational speaker, and his YouTube channel, Knowledge is Spherical, has nearly 3 crore views. He has been a teacher for over 4 decades without a moment of regret. With this brief introduction, I once again welcome Dr. Gururaj Karagi sir for today's session, and over to you, sir.
Hearty welcome, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. At the outset, I offer my pranams to all the members who are present today and convey my greetings on the Chartered Accountants Day. As we say that it is a day which is marked, but each day is a Chartered Accountants Day. Life cannot progress without the Chartered Accountants really helping the system. We are so grateful to them for bringing system into the process of managing finances. And your work is remaining monumental. In fact, you are one of the important pillars of Indian society. My greetings to all of you on this day, and I wish you the very best in the year to come. And I've been asked to talk on the role of parents in bringing up children. I would always call this as art of parenting. Parenting is an art. It's a scientific art. It has both science and art combined together. I try to put, because it's a very vast field, and we have a different segment of people available here. They may be young parents who have got very small children at home. There may be little elderly parents who have got adolescent children at home, some adult children at home. So I should try to reach out to everybody. So therefore, I made a small presentation here. There's a lovely statement my friend has written, John Wilmot. He has written a beautiful book. In this, he writes a sentence: before I got married, I had 6 theories about bringing up children. Now I have 6 children and no theory. You can't bring up children by looking at the textbooks and recipe books. You can't do that. In fact, if you have 2 children, you know very well, those 2 children are so different. The way you brought up the first child and the way you brought up the second child are so different, completely different. You can't use the same formula for the second child. And there's also another beautiful statement which I like it very much. It is not only the children who grow up, parents also grow up. As much as you watch this, see what our children are doing with their lives, they are watching us too. It's most important. We normally keep saying, I know my son. I saw him from the day one. I've seen him. I know him very well. Don't be so happy. But the child is also watching you. You had other things to do, other jobs to do, but the child has only one job of watching you. So therefore, child has watched you more intensely than what you have watched the child. Beautiful statement in that is, I cannot tell my children to reach for the sun. All I can do is to reach for it myself. I always tell children, you should be like that, you should be like that, you should become like that. Am I telling them which I could not do? Am I putting them impossible dreams before them or impossible targets before them? In fact, I remember my second son who asked me, I told him, study well, Papa. I never forced my children to study hard because I know they will study well. One day, my wife told, you should get rank in the SSLC. Immediately turned around and asked me, Papa, did you get rank in SSLC? Fortunately, I had. Otherwise, I always say them, you don't have to follow me. I may have got something else, but you can do much better than that. Put targets which are reachable. Therefore, if I want to advise my son or daughter, I must have done it myself. As Gururaj Acharya was mentioning, you should do what you are saying. There should not be yawning gap between what you say and what you do. There's a lovely poem which I like so much. I'll start with that. If I had my child to raise all over again, I would build self-esteem first and the house later. I'll build the self-esteem of the child. I would finger paint more than point the finger less. I'll decorate his finger, her fingers, nails very well, rather than pointing the finger, you. I would do less correcting and more connecting. I'll connect with the child with more people rather than correcting the child all the time. I would take my eyes off my watch and watch with my eyes. Because when you are bringing up the parent, I always tell the ladies, no university could have taught you so much of patience than your child. Really, they learned patience only when they bring up the child. No university can teach you that kind of patience. I would take more hikes and fly more kites. I would stop playing serious and seriously play with the children. I would run through more fields and gaze at more stars. I would do more hugging and less tugging. This is most important. It's a lovely poem. If I had my child to raise all over again, the lovely poem. This is one of the lessons that we learned. Now the question is, there are so many parents. There are different parenting styles. There are as many styles as the number of parents. But generally, they are classified into three categories. The first parenting type is over-possessive. Oh my God. This happens in unitary families more often. Earlier in a joint family, there are so many children together, they did not go to the parents for solving their problem. The senior child will solve the problem of the junior one. Emotions were dissipated there only, distributed there only. But now we have got a single child syndrome, or at best two children. Children are kept under the microscope and parents watch it more closely. In fact, normally you call them helicopter fathers and very incisive mothers. They're so much fussy about the child. They won't allow the child to do anything. Too much of caring, too much of concern. I require concern and care is required. But you bother so much about it. Never allow the child to do anything on his own. And I've seen one day I was coming in the train and there are young couple in front of me and a little child, 5-year-old, 6-year-old child. Both mother and father were alternately feeding the child as if it is a hopper of a floor mill. And child was refusing to eat, but they're putting everything into the mouth. Then I asked them, child has hands, no? Allow her to eat. No, sir, she won't eat full stomach. We have to feed her. I said, see, 6-year-old, can't she not use her hand? If you make her so dependent on you, even at 20 years, she'll start depending on you. Don't do that. They don't allow the child to experiment anything. No, don't do it. I'll do it for you. Don't do it anything. I'll tie the lace for you. I will carry the bag for you. You have seen this situation. Child going to the school, he's walking like a Napoleon Bonaparte in the front, and the mother carrying the water bag, like the school kit, everything herself. They don't want the child to carry that. Concern is okay, but allow the child to manage himself or herself. What is to be done? Allow the child to experiment. I know of a case of a Nobel laureate, a science Nobel laureate, and the way he did experiments was amazing. People asked him, how did you get this courage to do new experiments? He gave a beautiful example, my friends, I want to share with you. He says when he was about 2.5 or 3-year-old, remember the old days when the milk used to come in the bottles. Milk was coming in the bottles. Remember the wide bottom and then there's a narrow neck. And we used to carry in a tray, bring it back home. And she had kept about half a dozen bottles of milk in the refrigerator. The child wanted to take one bottle. Visualize a small 2.5 to 3-year-old boy, little hands, small hands. And the bottle in the refrigerator has mist around it, moisture around it. He held the lower part and tried to take it out. The hand slipped and the bottle fell down and the water spread all over the floor. He was now worried. The mother would shout at him. Very, very intelligent mother. She smiled at him and said, oh my God, I had never seen so much milk on the floor at all, so many days. Okay, would you like to play with that? She carefully removed the glass pieces from there. Would you like to play with the water on the floor? He made designs and all that maps. Once he was through with that, now you do one thing, child. You made the mess here. You clean it up. I'll give a small cloth, clean it up. And she helped him. The boy cleaned up the whole thing, wiped with water and everything's over. In the evening, the mother did something extraordinary. She took another 4 or 5 bottles, empty milk bottles, took him to the backyard. There was enough grass on the floor. She asked the child, now catch hold of the bottle. Now try to see why it fell out of your hand. He tried. Again, he tried the lower portion. His hand was so small, he could not hold it. It started slipping. Try again, try again. You can be able to hold, I tell you, you are an intelligent boy, you'll be able to hold 2 bottles. And slowly, with the experiment, the boy realized at the top, the mouth is narrow. I can hold it. He put his fingers in both 2 bottles and lifted and showed, Mom, I can hold 2 bottles now. So you can try the third one also. With 3 fingers in that, he held 3 bottles. She said, what was the problem earlier? He said, I made a mistake of holding at the bottom, which is very wide. My hands were so small, but on the top, the mouth is very narrow. I can hold it. He learned it. He was telling, as the Nobel laureate was telling, my mother taught me how there is no shame in failure. I had to learn from the mistakes. And she taught me how to learn. Therefore, we don't allow the children to experiment and do on their own everything we do. In fact, we have become too much of velvet hands. Velvet gloves are too soft. If you are too soft, you do not allow. I have written a small thing, silkworm break a cocoon itself. A very famous story. Child had so many silk cocoons were there. Suddenly found one cocoon was shaking. He wondered what is happening. Slowly and slowly the cocoon started cracking. With awe and surprise, he looked at it. Oh my God, something is coming out of it. A small insect struggled. Nearly 30 minutes he struggled and finally came and fell on the table. After some time regained energy, and slowly, as the story goes, it finally flew into a butterfly. The child saw the agony and the suffering of the silkworm. Said, I should help the child, help the silkworm. Next time when the another cocoon started shaking, he wanted to help the silkworm. He took a small little razor blade and slowly cut open the cocoon and removed the insect on the floor. It did not fly. He told his father, Papa, I wanted to help this insect. He's not flying now. The father said it will never fly. The struggle that it has to go through in breaking the shell and coming out is an effort that it required to make its wings stronger. If it does not struggle, the wings will not be strong. It will be paralyzed. It will not be able to fly. My request to parents of this kind, I don't know, all of us do not belong to any one category. We are combinations of many. Sometimes we do not allow the child to do anything. Please don't do that. Allow the silkworm to break the cocoon itself. Second category is indifferent parents. Second category, they don't bother about it. Especially the fathers. Mothers are normally a little more responsible. Fathers, I've seen many people, they send note to the school, sends note, can for the parents meeting. Parents meeting is only wives can go. Husbands don't come. They don't have time. They don't go. In fact, somebody asked an elderly person, which class is your second son studying? He said, second son? He asked his wife, hey, which class is he studying? He doesn't even know. No response. They see, child will grow. What is so special about it? Nothing to worry about. Some people do not know how to manage. And unfortunately, some people say we don't have time to manage a child. It's very unfortunate. The second category. And third is another category of parents who are overpowering, too strong, very, very strong. They say, I draw a line, my son will not cross. My son will listen to what I say. My daughter will do what she wants to do. I mean, all conditions good. Lakshman Rekha, I draw the line and my son will not cross. How many lines are you going to draw in future? Not possible when the child grows up. I had a student of mine who was doing PhD with me. See, good boy, he did his MSc from Bombay and distinction and good record. He came to me and after a week he came to me, sir, can I take 2 ml, 20 ml alcohol? I said, why? For practical, sir, you can take it, no problem. Plentiful college there. Every 5 minutes he'll come and ask me procedure. Sir, can I boil it, sir? Can I filter it, sir? Can I add this? It looked a little funny to me. I called him and said, Sudhakar, you understand English? Yes, sir. You passed your MSc? Yes, sir. Then why are you asking me every time? The procedure is given. You can do it on your own. I simply asked, sir. I said, what simply asked? Then interesting is, after a week he came and said, can I go home early, sir? I said, go. What is the problem? Any difficulty? He said, no, sir. My mother is free, sir. I have to go home. Hey, if your mother is free, why do you have to go home? Sir, I have to purchase some shirts, sir. Why you can't select? No, sir. I can't select dress for me, sir. Because I can't understand which color is good for me. I said, idiot, you come to do PhD in chemistry. Can't understand color. How are you going to do PhD? Not that, sir. I never select dress for me, sir. My mother knows which suits me. He's a 27-year-old fellow. The reason is that he was completely dominated in the house and he was given instruction every time. Don't do anything till you tell me. Don't tell me. I'll do it for you. Listen to me. If child is brought up under such pressure, he will never be able to take decisions. He will not be a leader in future. That's what I mentioned. Velvet glove is too soft. Iron hand is very harsh. The way of bringing a parent should be, bringing a child should be, it should be an iron hand in a velvet glove. The stability of the iron and softness of the velvet both are required. Sometimes you discriminate between boys and girls. Oh, your boys are boys, they'll do it. Girl, we should be very careful about her. And especially I've seen in many families, the girl child, they start worrying about it. Oh my God, she's going to school. How will she manage? What will the boys do? Many questions are asked. Therefore, I have a small video here. I want you to watch it. It's a lovely video.
Actually, I don't know. I'll check.
Neighbors should see whether your daughter or your child is a girl or a boy. You should never see whether this is a girl or a boy. Neighborhood boys will see that this is a girl. That's okay. You should not be wondering whether this is a boy or a girl. This is just a child. And the best thing you can do with your child is, if you think the way you are is everything, naturally your aspiration will be they should become like you. It will be a backward step for next generation. What the next generation should be, what you cannot imagine. That's what they should be. If you mold them, how will you mold them? Like yourself. And maybe your parents were better at molding than you, so you'll do a worse job than them. Because probably your mother, your father, at least for your mother, maybe it was a full-time job molding business. You are a part-time molder. You can imagine what you will do. Don't try to mold them. Just a child needs a stable, pleasant atmosphere to grow. Create a joyful, I'm saying first joyful, then loving. You understand? Otherwise, it's just bloody sappy love without any joy and bliss around it will make people miserable. think the way you are is everything. Naturally, your aspiration will be they should become like you. It will be a backward step for next generation. What the next generation should be. What you cannot imagine. That's what they should be. If you mold them, how will you mold them? Like yourself. And maybe your parents were better at molding than you, so you'll do a worse job than them. Because probably your mother, your father, at least for your mother, maybe it was a full-time job molding business. You are part-time molder. You can imagine what you will do. You'll try to mold them. Just a child needs a stable, pleasant atmosphere to grow. Create a joyful, I'm saying first joyful, then loving. You understand? Otherwise, this just bloody sappy love without any joy and bliss around it will make people miserable for a period of time. First, joyful atmosphere. If you're capable of holding it, then you can add a little bit of your love to it. Children will need your love and attention till they're 5, 6, 7. After that, they want to distance themselves. They want to become their own thing. And it's fine. It's just your only business is to keep them in a very joyful and loving incubator. Of course, there will be somebody else on the street who will be trying to do something else with them. Those influences are always there. You should not protect them entirely from those things because someday they have to get out. But your business is not to mold them. One thing your child should not become is they should not become like you. They should become something more than what you are, isn't it? Your idea of something more is they must earn more than you. They must have a bigger car, bigger house. This is unfortunate. If you are this joyful, they should become more joyful than you. If you are this intelligent, they should become more intelligent than you. If you're this balanced, they must be more balanced than you. Yes. If your life is this rich, their life must be much richer. Richness not, the richness of your child's life or your life for that matter should never be a contribution from what you have. What you have gathered should never enhance your life. Please get this for yourself and your child. Who you are is who you are. What you have is to what extent is useful to us. We'll have those things, everything. Whatever we can use and enjoy, we will have. But never try to enhance your life. Never try to enhance who you are, by what you wear, by where you live, what you own. These things should be useful. You use them to the limit, no problem. But they should not enhance who you are. Who you are should happen from within you. If your child grows into this, whatever he or she becomes, it's fine, they need not be like you. Once you don't have this problem that they don't have to be like you, then you will see such a joy and freedom to raise your child. Your only struggle is they're not like you. Yes, daily struggles with the children is just this. They're not shaping up like you. How glad I am.
Yeah. In fact, as he was mentioning, make it joyful. First of all, children should be happy. There is a very beautiful Sanskrit verse which entirely summarizes the art of parenting. Lalayet panchavarshani, dashavarshani tadayet, prapteshu shodashe varshe, putre mitra vadacharet. Don't worry about remembering. If you know it is fine, it does. Otherwise, I'll explain the meaning of it. Lalayet panchavarshani. Whole life is spread into 3 parts. After the age of 5, Lalayet panchavarshani. First 5 years, give unadulterated love to the child. Affection and all the positive things. It is said very clearly that what you learn up to the age of 5 will remain with you. You can't escape your childhood. If you have been a very happy child, you will also become a happy old man or old lady. If you had a very struggling childhood, it will come back to you. There is a very famous quotation which says, child is the father of man. What do you mean by child is the father of man? If you want to know how you would be at the age of 80 or 85, ask your parents how you were at the age of 5. It will come back to you. It will come back to you. Therefore, the first 5 years, give them only love, only good things in life. Show them the best in life. If you develop that positive attitude in the child in the beginning itself, the child will grow into a confident person. Some people, they put so much of discipline on the child, very little patience, and say, you do like this, you do like this, you should talk like this, you should do like this. How many should and would you do it? Let the child enjoy the childhood first 5 years. And moment to restrict the child's feeling and emotions and all that, she will never be able to express later on. So therefore, first 5 years are very important. Lalayet panchavarshani. And I have a request to make. I don't know, you're all very sensitive and good people. I'm sure you don't beat the children. Sometimes people beat the children, get angry and start beating the child. Please don't do that, for God's sake. Don't do that. A child is doing with absolute innocence. It could be pranks also, no problem. But you must have the patience to manage it. The reason is this. Why you want to hit the child? I'm terribly against it, hitting children. Why do you hit? Because you don't know how to control with love. When you don't know how to control with love, your hand comes up and you beat because child is helpless. Do you beat your 30-year-old boy? You don't do that. You beat only the small children. They're helpless. As we say, the bali, the sacrifices they make in the temples. Do they make sacrifice of elephants and lions? No. Only hen, goat, weak animals. Because the child is weak, you want to beat the child. I give a small classic example for that. Imagine you are traveling in a horse carriage and you want the horse carriage to go faster. What will you do? There are two things in the horse carriage, the carriage and the horse. Which one do you beat to go faster? By beating the carriage is not useful. You have to beat the horse only. Am I right? When you beat the horse, it goes faster. Same thing happens in the house also. Child refuses to do something. Child refuses to read. There are two parts in the child also, body and the mind. Which is refusing to do? Mind. The body is still there only. What can the body do? The mind is refusing to study. Mind is refusing to do what you say. Then why are you beating the body? It's like beating the cart rather than the horse. So therefore, if I know how to beat the mind, the problem with us is we don't know how to beat the mind. Beating body is very easy. Beating the mind is very difficult. It requires a lot of training, a lot of patience on your part. If you know how to beat the child's mind, there is no problem in managing children. Without beating, we can bring them up. And then we call sometimes the child is misbehaving. I've seen many parents coming to me saying that my child misbehaves. He suddenly shouts, he beats people, he pinches somebody. Please try to distinguish between playfulness and misbehavior. Children are very smart. I'll show you a video, you'll really like it. Children are very, very smart. We think that we are smarter, but children are much smarter than us. Imagine a 1-year-old child at home, and child, when he learns to walk, he stands up and falls, 100 times a day. He will not cry every time, but he will continue the effort continuously, standing up and falling. Imagine you are in the kitchen and the child is outside in the veranda. The fellow falls down, he looks around. He will not cry because nobody is there. What is the point in crying? When the mother comes, oh, you, Papa, you fell down, he will start crying again, howling again. So he's crying because there is somebody to listen to you. Only when he gets hurt, of course, he can cry. Otherwise, normally, children are very smart. They know when to cry and when not to cry. Lot of research has been done on that. I'll show you a video. You will really like it. And they have shown how children are very smart. This fellow is crying his heart out. But his mother goes away. It goes into this small portion inside. He stops crying. Just watch carefully what he does. He has fallen at a place where mother can see. Now mother walks away. Mother doesn't stay there, goes away. He's crying, did not help. Now again you will see what he does. He comes and falls at a place so the mother can see. Again the mother ignored and went in. Again he stopped crying, stopped crying. No point in crying, you know. Children are very smart. You should know how, whether they're doing pranks or they're really mischievous. There's a difference between playfulness and mischief. Mischief hurts somebody. Prank doesn't hurt anybody. Doesn't hurt anybody. There are a few golden rules today I mentioned to you. First is you should learn to listen. First golden rule is that I'd request parents to spend at least 5 minutes time every day when the child comes back from the school or play. Sit and talk to the child. What happened, child, today? Discuss. This is called active listening, not the passive listening. Some people read newspapers and okay, please tell, no problem. You can tell, I can listen to you. Watch television and listen to the child. Child will observe it for about 3-4 times, and this continue. Child will not share with you. Will not share with you. This is the best occasion for the parents to know what is happening in the child's mind. What are the emotions of the child? Child may be having some problems in the school, on the way, in the bus, many problems. She doesn't know how to explain it, but listen to it. Listen to it. Somewhere you get a clue that child is not comfortable. Something is happening about the emotions of the child. Please listen, give some time for it. And this is more important. Handle the emotions of children properly. When children cry, children are happy. You should know how to manage the emotions of these children. When there are some children who continuously cry, they are unhappy all the time. Not only with small children, I'm seeing even the little grown-ups also, 13, 14, 15 also. They are always sad, always worried, always tense. Why are they happy? What is happening? I have done this little work on that. I work with a school in England. The teacher there has done a remarkable job. They call this labeling emotions. Very interesting. When child is crying, the teacher tells the child, oh, you are sad. That's why you are crying. Label. Child is laughing. Oh, you are happy. That's why you're laughing. You associate emotions with the act. Why is it required? Supposing the child is crying, the teacher or mother has labeled it. Oh, you are sad. That's why you're crying. The moment the child feels they're crying, it says, okay, I'm sad. I'm sad now. The moment it starts labeling, this is a very interesting aspect. We are all born with two minds, emotional mind and a rational mind. The problem is emotional mind acts faster. Rational mind comes up slowly. But by then the damage would have been done. The moment the child is emotional, you have labeled it, okay, I'm sad now. That's why I'm crying. This is the rational part of the mind. It does not allow the intensity to be very high. In fact, a teacher there, brilliant English teacher, has done a good work. He made a poem. It's strong on that.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm very happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm very happy. How are you? How are you today? I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm very sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm very sad. How are you? How are you? How are you today? I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm very angry. I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm very angry. How are you? How are you? How are you today?
The purpose of this song is that this song is played in the classroom regularly. So that when the child suddenly feels sad, they start remembering this video and say, yeah, I'm sad. How I look sad. You know, the moment you start thinking how I look when I'm sad, how I look when I'm happy, suddenly it controls the intensity of emotions as one way of handling it. First, develop healthy ways to guide the child through emotions. Sometimes say, oh, you are always a crying baby. You're not good for it. There are a few things we do absolutely wrongly. In fact, there is a beautiful message as to what are the areas on which we do not handle children properly, their emotions properly. First is ignoring.
I'm so angry. Start at school. Just go and do your homework. I don't do much care about this. Express the emotion. Say, oh, you know, other children have this stuff of the world just it's almost like saying to the child, you know, you have to be nice. Another way of handling emotions might be punishment. You know what? If you don't stop crying, I'll give you a reason to cry. And the last way that mothers especially often want to do is to use emotions to save the child. Don't you mind? I'll go and sort the child tomorrow. Or I'll go and talk to the teacher.
These three things. First is ignoring. Oh, she keeps on complaining, who bothers about her? Or dismissing it. Go away. All students have the same problem. And third and most important is punishing. These are not the good ways of handling emotions. Attend to it, fix it, solve it. Sit with the child and see what is the problem. There is always a complaint from the children and the parents. Oh, my mom doesn't listen to me. My father doesn't listen to me. Or parents say, my child doesn't listen to me at all. The best way is good communication. Sit with the child, talk to the child continuously. Even a small child or an adolescent child. I'll come to that little later with adolescent children. You have to talk to them as much as possible. Bring them out. Moment you start seeing the adolescent children, when the phone call comes, they pick up the phone and go into their room, lock themselves and start talking. It is a small signal. Be careful. They don't want you to hear the dialogue. Maybe it's private dialogue, but it becomes more frequent. Be concerned about it. And children slowly get away from the crowd and sit separately in the room. They don't come for discussion outside. Slowly you have to bring the child and communicate. The best golden rule for bringing up the children is to talk to them continuously. What their concerns are. Talk to their friends. Talk to their friends. Bring them home sometime. Please watch the friends of the children. But that is the age when suddenly boys want to be big and girls want to be smart. Their leaders will be the classmates and the peer group, not the parents anymore. You have seen when the child is very young, very small, up to stage 5 or grade 5 or grade 6, you start insisting, Papa, tomorrow is my parent day, you should come. Amma, you should come. And annual day, you can't miss it. They start insisting on you that you should come to the school. But the situation will change when the child comes to 7th, 8th, and 9th standard. They say, Amma, you don't have to come. Nobody comes. I'll bring the progress card, don't worry. I'll tell them you are busy. They don't want you to come to school. Because the reason is that they feel that mother will start complaining about me to the parents, and what my friends will see. Suddenly the friend's opinion becomes more important. At that time, spend more time. Understand what the intentions and likes of children are. Talk to them frequently. Talk to the teachers, talk to their friends. It's very, very important at that stage. This is very crucial for me. This is the best part of the parenting. Find some time every day. I call it as a family time. Morning, perhaps people are busy. House looks like a hostel. People go at different times to different places. But please, for God's sake, please find half an hour time every day. However busy you are, find some time for the sake of child. Normally we make assets for the children. I tell them, don't make assets for the children. Make children assets. Half an hour time is essential. put off the TV. All of you should assemble in one room or a hall somewhere else. Sit together and talk. Mother can talk about what happened in her office or in the house. Father can tell what happened in the office. Children can talk about what happened in the school. Talk to them. And secondly, I learned a lesson from the great Masti Venkatesh Iyengar. He taught me about 46 years ago, 47 years ago. I'm still following it and has given me a tremendous benefit. He asked me, do you read something at night? I said, yes, sir. I'm a teacher. I should read. He said, not for you. Do you think the whole family will read something together? I said, no, sir. Then read something for them. I thought about it. I like Kumara Vyasa Bharata. Kumara Vyasa Bharata. I like it very much. So my parents, myself, my wife and children sit together. My two sons would sit together. I would read Kumara Vyasa Bharata. Initially, they found it difficult, but slowly as we got on, they liked it. Every day I will read one canto. My father will ask some question. My mother will give some answer. Children will ask few questions. I was so happy and delighted, both my children, they are very well educated and doing very well in their job. Even today, they remember verses from Kumara Vyasa Bharata. The moment I say, Shri Vanite Yarasane, they start singing it along with me. I'm so happy Kumara Vyasa survived one more generation. We talk the children do not have culture. But who should teach culture? Who should teach culture? My parents taught me something, therefore I have something with me. If I don't teach my son, he will never get anything. The best time for that, not necessarily read Kumara Vyasa Bharata only, anything you can read, even a text you can read, prose you can read. There are beautiful story books, you can read one story every day. The reason is that, and also, most important, before you disperse from the group, you have a deity, a god of your own. You have some prayers and stotras. Please say the prayers together. This is very, very important. All of you before dispersing, say the prayer together. My mother taught me Ramaraksha Stotra. Even today, all of us, without fail, all of us meet together and sing that Ramaraksha Stotra loudly. It creates a kind of a vibration. Before you go to bed, you say that and then go to bed. Because we feel, there is a beautiful statement which says, the family that prays together stays together. There's also a question raised, I saw. Today, children are concerned about the television and laptops and mobiles. How to take them away from them? Yeah, I know. Each is a beautiful instrument. Mobile is useful instrument, television is useful, laptop is required. But anything done excessively is bad. Now you find, especially the pandemic now, even the school work comes through mobile or laptop. Therefore, they are used to this now. Another thing I should tell you, in 1960s, children learned through seeing or visual learning. It was about 42%. Today, thanks to television and mobile, the learning style of visual learning has gone from 42% to 78%. That means children love to watch rather than listen. Their listening, the time ability to listen has become very small. They don't have retention time. They would like to watch more rather than listen more. It has a hard effect on the eyes, of course we know. What should we do now? There's so much, apart from it, we also have a problem. The parents also have created a problem. Who gave the laptop so early to them? In fact, a friend of mine has done a research on that, saying that children are grade 4, 5, 6 are suffering from depression in metro cities. Children of grade 4, 5, 6 suffering from depression. It happens only in metro cities. You know the answer he has found out? The reason is Facebook. I put a picture and only 2 likes for me. My friend has got 62 likes. Now the question is this, they are not supposed to have Facebook at that age. Somebody must have made the Facebook and given to them. It is our responsibility, is it not right? Therefore, we have to be careful about giving materials. Giving facility is very easy. Withdrawing is very difficult. Therefore, once you give it, right from beginnings, teach them self-restraint. I tell you how it should be done. I give a practical reason for it. I have a sample at home. My granddaughter. When she was about 4 or 5, my daughter-in-law came to me and said, Appa, this girl watches Doraemon shows so much. She loves to watch only that. How do I stop her from watching that? I said, okay. Who introduced Doraemon to her? She did not know Doraemon. Of course, you had reason. You had work in the house and the child was not leaving you. Therefore, to get away from her, you said, made her sit on the sofa, watch this program for 10 minutes, you'll be all right. She watched for 10 minutes. Every day, 10 minutes, she started watching. And Doraemon became a good friend than you. You can't stop her. What should be done now? I said, it can be done. It can be done. But I tell you, the entire family should plan it together, not one. We decided, I told her, you tell the child, start the television at this time, the program at this time, whatever show you want. And we stop after 20 minutes. And tell them, when the needle comes here, we'll stop. She will say, okay. But don't forget to switch off at that time. When you come to 20 minutes, you stop it. The child will cry, oh, howling, I want to watch it. You try everybody else. The problem is when the elders at home say, oh, please give it. The child is crying, allow her another 10 minutes. Then you are gone. Don't do that. All of us together take a decision. It's not good for the child. Therefore say, sorry. The child came to me, Aja, Amma is not showing me. I want to watch another half an hour. Give me. I said, sorry, child. I'll put a chair for you. Sit down and cry. It's good for your eyes, but will not do it. We stopped it. The child now learned that it is only for 20 minutes and not beyond. Then I started telling her, child, anyway, it closes at 20 minutes. You can't get it after 20 minutes. Why don't you switch off? And she will call you a good girl. She thought there is sense in it. She will ask, Amma, how many minutes? 20 minutes. When the needle comes here, stop now? Okay. At that time, she herself will switch off and go and tell proudly, mother, I switched it off. Very good, good child. Some reward, that's all. So slowly and slowly, the child began to believe that it is for a short time. But it has programmed well. I never allowed her to go beyond that. And then all of us together, not me, all of us together. Therefore, now, even now she says, I have a program between 2 and 2:30, half an hour program I have to watch. Okay, choose time, half an hour, no problem. After half an hour, it will stop. And now restraint has come in herself that she will stop it at that time. I request all of you, as a family, you should take a decision. I'll come to the another important point later on. When there is a conflict of opinion in the house itself, this family time, my friends, please spend time together. Half an hour time, talk generally, and also have a prayer of your own. If there's something good book to be read, nothing like it. Excellent. And this is what I was trying to say. There's a difference of opinion between the father and the mother. Father says, don't give her anything, huh? They're not done, don't give her. The mother says, why? What is the problem? We'll give it now. We start openly debating on the issue to do or not to do. The child becomes a umpire, start watching both of them. If both the parents say something diametrically different, the child is confused. She doesn't know whom to follow. This is called double bite. In psychology, we call double bite. One says yes, other says no, and both are important. What will the child do? And the worst thing that can happen is child becomes a politician. Pakka politician. She will give what mother wants to her mother, and whatever father likes, she gives the father. She becomes a kind of a spy. You know, Papa, what Amma did today? And tell mother what Papa did today. She becomes a politician, gets the benefit from either side. This is a real problem that we face. If there is a difference of opinion between the husband and the wife, I'd request you go into the room and thoroughly fight. Thoroughly fight. But come to a conclusion, then come out. Whatever you say should be one opinion. Even if the mother says something wrong, the father should not contradict her in front of the child. Okay, we'll do it. Then later on, both of you sit together and decide what can be done. Don't let down your spouse in that. The reason is that the child should know, if my father says something, mother would also say the same thing. Discussion apart, but decisions, don't give two different decisions. It's called dual parenting. Dual parenting is little difficult for the child to follow. And this is very, very important, my friends. Be flexible, all right. Manage your emotions. These children are getting emotions from you. I've been working with 2 schools in Dubai. One school disciplined very well. Other school I have seen, shouting, crowding and all that. I asked for a few children who are shouting like that. The teacher told me the problem is at home, sir. The mother shouts so much. Please see, if you're shouting all the time, children take it as the natural behavior. I've seen this. In fact, I had it myself. Very interesting. My neighbor was a Telugu man, was a Tahsildar, but only government quarters, only one wall between them. And one day the husband and wife came to our house for a dinner. And this Tahsildar asked me, do you know Telugu? He said, I don't know, sir. I only one sentence I know. One sentence? What is the great sentence? He asked me. I told him only one sentence that's called Champali Grondistano. He was shocked. My God. But you know what is the meaning of that? I said, I don't know, sir. Champali Grondistan means I give 2 slaps on your face. Why did you learn that sentence? He said, I don't know, sir. Every day, your wife keeps shouting at her son, Manjo Champali Grondistano, Manjo Champali Grondistano. I've been hearing the whole day. That is the only sentence I know in Telugu. Then he told his wife, look, not only you are spoiling your child, you are spoiling the neighbor's child also. The reason is that I've seen parents using foul language or shouting at somebody else on the phone, all the time holding on to the phone. Then the child will take that as the role model. And I've seen fathers losing temper, shouting at each other. The moment you start doing that, you don't know how to manage your emotions and can't tell the child how to behave. Child will get the emotions very quickly. This is one movie which has got about 5 minutes movie I wanted to watch. It's one of the greatest movies done somewhere in 1951-52. Even today in psychology, it is taken as a classic. How emotions are passed on. The father comes home. I'll give the commentary. He finds so much front yard, so much of materials are dropped there. Materials are dropped there. He gets angry, goes into his house, shouts at his wife. She comes smilingly. He shouts at her, who dropped all this material in front of the house? It's looking terrible. Who did all that? And she says, why are you shouting at me? Look at it. Both of them get angry. Who did it? Your son did it. Call him. The child comes smiling. He comes smiling. And the mother gives him a lesson. And now this child is hurt. He is emotionally upset. Says, go, clean it yourself. The father says, go now, clean it. Do you think the fellow will clean it? He will not. Watch him. He will not do anything. Because he is hurt. Everybody is shouting at me only. Why should I do it? The father watch what this fellow is doing. Instead of, you see, he's kicking the dog on the road. Now, he not only helps, but he also destroys. The brake he throws on the bicycle and damages it. Now, please see what happens. Why the boy got angry? The father is thinking now, who made the mistake? He says, my mistake. My mistake. Please watch carefully. These are the beautiful movies we have. I'm muted because I can give a commentary on that. See, he went into the house, very angry. He shouted, and the anger is passed on to the wife. Wife passed on the anger onto the child. Child passed on the anger on the dog. Dog passed it on to the cat. Emotions are transferred. Now see what can be done now. This is a beautiful film because it tells you what is the correct way of doing it also. The boy is not doing anything. The father thought, yeah, I should not have shouted at the boy. I would help him. Now you see what he does. Hello, buddy, what are you doing now? Come. Oh, so many things are there. Okay, we'll do it together. There's a difference now. You do it is different from we'll do it together. He says, big ones, I'll take it. Small ones, you take it. Slowly shifts it. Little fellow also starts helping him now. Now it's the question of not you. It's the question of we doing it. Now, small thing, the child takes it away. Big one, the father takes it. In 5 minutes, the whole yard is clean. And now, you see, wonderful. Both are good friends now. Very affectionate. See, everything is clear now. Child is also smiling. He is also smiling. Therefore, the message is very clear. Emotions are contagious. The moment you get angry, don't tell your son, don't get angry. Because it's bound to happen. He's bound to do that. Because I believe that as custodians of children, you are also the custodian of values. What are values? It's a set of desirable behavior, not lectures, not articles. It's a set of behavior. You demonstrate. Values are not taught. Values are not lectured about. Values are demonstrated. If you want your child to be kind, you should be kind. If you want to child to read well, you should have some habit of reading. You watch television all the time when you are free and ask the child, go and sit in the room, read now. The child says, why am I in the school? Therefore, my feeling is bringing up child is the greatest act of sacrifice. Your personal intents may be different, your personal inclination may be different, but for the sake of a child's future, you must change yourself. There's no way. Father comes home and tell the child, don't tell lies. The child says, okay. Father is watching the television and his mobile rings. He doesn't want to take the mobile. He tells his wife, take the phone. Tell him I'm not here. Poor wife takes it and says, sorry, he's not here now. The child looked at the father. Just now father told him not to tell lies. No, not only father is telling a lie, he is making his mother also to tell a lie. If this happens about 4 or 5 times, the child begins to believe that telling lie on the phone is not wrong. It's okay. When he completes 10th standard, you get him a mobile and ask him to go to college. He misses college and goes to a movie. Father telephones the child. Where are you, son? The son covers the telephone and says, Papa, special class is going on. I'll call you later. Who taught him to tell lies? Please remember, my friends, parents have a tremendous responsibility. In fact, they watch you so closely, so closely. I have a neighbor and he had the habit of beating his son. I don't know, very angry man, very angry man. He would bring the child onto the road and beat as if there was no place in his house. I was so sad. I went and told him, don't do that. He said, sir, you go, sir. You don't know how to bring up children. I'll do that. And he was beating the children. And one day I saw him beating and said, look at that fellow, Ramesh's son. He got 90% marks. You got only 40% marks. You are not good enough. He went on beating the child. After taking for some time, the child asked the father, you're only telling me, watch that boy, look at the boy. Are you looking at his father? He asked very simply. It could be a slap on our face. You're only asking me to watch the boy, but are you watching the child's father? He has never beaten him. Why are you beating me? The children start comparing the parents now. When the children are very young, father is a hero, mother is a heroine. Everything is fine. But when they grow up, they not only watch your strength, but also start watching your concerns and weaknesses. Therefore, I should be very, very careful when I'm passing on values to them. There are a few things, in another 3-4 minutes, I'll stop because my time stops at 7 o'clock. I'll stop at that time. Most important is accept your child as he or she is. We start comparing children. Look at that child. How nice, no? Always it looks beautiful, but your child is wonderful. Please remember, every child is a gift of God, and no gift of God is useless. He may be thin, he may be fat, he may be dark, he may be tall, he may be short, whatever it is. He is unique species in the world. There is nobody like your child in the world. Nobody like her or him. Nobody. God doesn't put everything in a mold and take it out. All different. Please, for God's sake, avoid comparisons. At least in front of the children, never do it. Saying, oh, look at him, how does. You can give examples. See how we are studied. It's okay, nothing wrong. But by showing him, don't put him down. Don't put your child down. That, look, you're studying so, you're not studying well. That's bad. And don't even compare your own 2 children. They're totally different. Oh, look at your sister, how organized she is. You are like this. You're not good. You can say, there is another way I have handled it. It may be useful to you. If there are 2 children, one is about, say, 13, 14-year-old boy or a girl, other is 9-year-old boy or girl. You want the second child to be taken care of. You don't do it yourself. Sometimes the children fight. This is the biggest question many people ask. Oh, they keep on fighting. What do I do now? I said, no problem. Make the senior child custodian of the junior child. I tried in my house and it works. I've tried in several houses. I do workshops in US called as Happy Family. And it really works. Make the senior child be a custodian of the junior child. What do you mean by custodian? Tell the senior one, look child, use your job to take care of this small fellow. And then give her some power also. Not only responsibilities, give power also. If this boy wants something, only when you recommend, I'll give you. Very interesting thing, The boy wants a cricket ball. I'll not give him. Only when the elder one recommends, I'll give you. This younger fellow will be very good to the sister now. Akka, why don't you recommend I want a tennis ball? I want a cricket ball. Because I have made it very clear, till it is recommended by her, I'll not do it. She will also try to boss over him, but still we should watch him. You find that she is bossing over the other fellow, take care, but make her custodian and also give incentive. If he does well in studies, I'll give incentive to the senior one. Okay, he does well, and then he does well in examination, get good marks, I'll reward you also. So she is held responsible for both the achievements of the child and drawbacks of the child. She will put effort and she say, your room should be neat and clean. She will chase him and see that it is clean and neat. Senior children take care of the junior ones. They take care of them and manage very well. And please, child is not a status symbol. Child is not a status symbol. Or many people say, oh, my child studies in that school, you know. It's not a status symbol. Children require more of affection, love, and understanding when they fail. This is more important. Normally, we condemn the children. I knew that you would fail. I knew that you would fail. Don't do that. Don't say that I know that you would fail. If you knew that she would fail, why are you keeping quiet? The question is this. They require your help and assistance when they are not doing well. When they are doing well, they are on cloud 9. They'll always do well. But when they fail, you support him. I had a classic example in my house. I should share that example. It happened to me. My first son was studying for 10th standard, and he was the state captain in under-16 cricket team. He's a very good cricketer, wicket-keeper and batsman. He traveled all over the state for tournaments, and he was sent to Australia for about 21 days and came back. He could not attend to the classes properly. And there was a preparatory examination. He tried his best, and the marks card came, the great marks card, and showed it to his mother. And all marks were in 40s and 45s and so on. My wife should have told him, oh my God, your father is the principal and you're getting so low marks, you'll not be happy about it. The fellow was scared. At that night I went, and after I had my dinner, I was reading the newspaper. From the corner of my eye, as I saw somebody standing there. I looked up and he was standing there. What's the matter, man? I asked him. Papa, you have to sign the progress card. His voice was shaking. I said, bring it. I looked at it. It's not a great thing. I saw marks were all low. I looked up. He had tears swelling up in his eyes. One harsh word from me, he would start crying. I said, where is the pen, man? He ran inside the room and brought me the pen. I just signed. Did not look at it and signed. Don't worry, man. You are a good student. You know, you played cricket and thus you could not go to school. You will do well in the final exam. I'm confident about it. I signed and gave it. You know what happened? He took the progress card, did not go to his room. He ran to the kitchen and told his mother, Amma, Appa did not shout at me. Appa did not shout at me. For the sparkle in his eyes, we can give 1 crore rupee. He did well and went to England to study and became a topper in the university. He sent a mail to me. Very interesting, saying that, Appa, I don't know whether you realize, the turning point in my academic life was the day you signed the progress card without shouting at me. Something beautiful. I had not realized that. He said, I knew when you signed the report without even admonishing me or shouting at me, I learned a lesson that my father would stand by me when I need him most. This kind of assurance we had to give. And the question was asked, how do you handle teenagers? Very simple. Teenagers, they are fighting with themselves. They are really fighting with themselves. The body is growing so fast. Tremendous changes are happening in the body, and the mind is not able to control it. Please imagine, my friends, we are all grown-up people. We use the computer keyboard or the mobile keyboard. Imagine your fingers grow 1 inch longer in just about a month's time. You don't know how to handle it. Children are facing that challenge. Mind is changing, the body is changing, the attractions are different. Slowly the role models are becoming different. Role models are not the parents now. Role models are the friends, and the role models are heroes, cricket heroes or cinema heroes or somebody else will be heroes. This is a different world of tremendous confusion. The best thing would be sit and talk to them. Understand what their interests are. And most important is see who their friends are. That is the age when children are drawn back into negative habits. One big fellow says, you want to be tall like me, big like me, smoke, man. This fellow also wants to become big. He starts smoking. Somebody go to something else. All negative things are drawn because because of friendship at that time. Watch carefully what his friends are. Talk to them regularly. Go to the college or the school where the child is studying. You may or may not tell the child. Make an appointment, meet the principal and the teachers. The moment the child comes to know that the teachers and the parents are talking to each other, many of these negative thoughts will go away, because the child knows that, oh yes, my teacher will tell my mother. Because child in the school is different from child in the house. You must have seen that. You go and complain about your child to the school principal. This fellow is very noisy and a lot of mischief in the house. The school said, no, he is wonderful in the school, or vice versa. Is it not right? Therefore, child in the school is different from child in the house. If both school and house come together, it's called mentoring. I have been talking about mentoring. The teachers mentoring the child. One teacher takes care of the child and talks to him. Lot of aberrations can be stopped. Therefore, my friends, accept the child as he or she is. Parental expectation is the biggest challenge for the children today. Competition exists now, not only between the children, but the parents also. What is your son doing? Oh, my son is doing better than that. Some pleasure that my son is doing better than him. No, there is a competition to do that. Plus, please do everything to boost the morale of the child. Most important. Don't put too much of expectations. In fact, I've seen people saying, oh, nobody is a doctor in our family. You should become a doctor. Why? Why should the fellow suffer? If he wants to be a doctor, let him be a doctor. Suppose you are a wonderful chartered accountant. You say, my son should become a chartered. If he becomes good, no problem. If he doesn't become also, let him find his own roots. As Sadhguru was telling in the commentary, don't make him a copy of yours. He will be a bad copy. Let him be his own. I'll be happy if he becomes something different from what I am. That is, the life is so beautiful. So many opportunities are for the child. The moment I start putting in the mold, we do not allow him to go beyond the frame. Once you put them in the frame, difficult. Stress. I feel sad, very sad. After the 10th results and the 12th results, children commit suicide. It hurts me so much. This examination is one small step in the whole life. Life is such a huge canvas. It can take millions of incidents. But should one incident dictate the life of a person? It should never happen. One low marks. Doesn't matter. There are many people I have seen who got first rank throughout their career but remained idiots ever after. But also seen people who never got rank in their life but became successful in life. It's not the question of marks card, it is the question of attitude. Focus more on the attitude rather than the marks card. Don't put too much stress on the child. Oh, you study for 6 hours, 8 hours a day, sit down, do 95% marks. Okay, but in this process, if he has lost the sense of appreciation, does not get a positive attitude in his life, I think become difficult for him. Last word, parenting is challenging, but yet very gratifying and a rewarding task. Enjoy every moment of this experience. Enjoy the child. Don't suffer the child. Enjoy. And that is lovely parenting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. We had an excellent session on parenting.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Bangalore branch, thank you very much. I request our Vice Chairman Srinivas to propose formal vote of thanks to this session. Over to Srinivas.
Namaskara, sir. It was an excellent session.
Yes,
Even I too have a very small kid, 7-year and 5-year-old.
Yes, sir.
Whatever you telling, no, I was just directly connecting with that, what we are doing it day to day.
Yes, sir.
When you start connecting, you will realize what is the importance of that. Really, it is a challenging and gratifying.
Yes.
Whatever we are tired in office, once they go home, the way they question, no, it will be
Yes.
soothing and it will be a sense of happiness. Sometimes when they question, no, some questions we are not able to answer, then we have to
Yes.
keep home. It will be really interesting and
Sir, I tell you, sir, one, to go and talk to children, they reduce, remove all the stress of yours.
yes,
They
yes,
are
true, sir.
one of the
True.
best stress busters we have got.
True,
Excellent.
sir.
That's what I say. Enjoy the children. Don't suffer the children.
Whenever we say we are tired in office, then they will do keep us happy. They won't talk much like
Yes.
that. They'll
Yes, sir.
understand very well.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
Any
a lot,
questions,
sir.
sir?
Thank
Any
you very
questions?
much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
One
Questions,
minute,
I
sir.
think one question, I think Lavanya is raising hand. Manish, can you ask her to ask that question? Lavanya SM. She wanted to ask any question. There is a hand raised on that. Manish or Suraj,
Unmuted them, madam.
ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
So, ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಮ್ಮ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ಸರ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಿಡಿಯೋಸ್ ನ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಈ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಮುಖತಃ ಭೇಟಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೂಲಕ ನಿಮ್ಮ ನೋಡೋ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. But sir, actually, a wonderful and a rewarding session, sir. As our vice chairman was telling, he has a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. Even I have a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. So in fact, one point I have written it down, because we tend to make that a mistake smart, but we are heat of the momentally. ನಮ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮೇನ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎರಡರಲ್ಲೂ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವೇ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ನನ್ ಮಕ್ಳು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗ್ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇನ್ ದೇರ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಧಾವಂತ, ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ನಮ್ ಧಾವಂತ, ನಾವ್ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಮೇಲಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಇದು ಎರಡನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸರಿಯಾದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸಮತೋಲನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್, ಹೇಗೆ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು?
Lovely question. Yesterday I did a whole session on work-life balance, and I did a session for a large number of professionals. The biggest problem, how to manage balance between work and life. I tell you, very interesting, man. If the work is so tense, pressurized, today's work is like that. Today's work demands every pound of flesh from you, demands so much from you. When you come back, oh my God, again there is some work there. That becomes difficult. I learned something from Dr. Raja Ramanna, the great atomic physicist. He was my mentor for about 20 years. He taught me a beautiful lesson. He was so busy a man, traveling all over the world. Every week he was in a different country. He was the Minister of Defense and Rajya Sabha member, Atomic Energy Commission chairman. I asked him, how do you manage, sir? How do you manage? He told me very simple, be like a post office. It may be useful to you. Be like, not today's post office. Today's post office do not get any letters at all. I'm thinking of those letters, the post office. Imagine, to the head post office, 1 lakh papers come every day. 1 lakh letters come. He asked me, what will they do in the head office? Will they read the name of the addressee? Will not read. First, they'll go to Bangalore 1, Bangalore 2, Bangalore 3, Bangalore 4, Bangalore 25. Distribute. It's called sorting out office. Nobody will know the name of the addressee there. They'll classify according to the Bangalore numbers.
Pin codes.
Pin codes. Then it goes to that office. There also nobody will neither see the name. There's got first block, second block, third block, fourth block, they separate it out. And the first block, papers go there. They again arrange first main, second main, third main, fourth main. And finally, when the postman takes it, he will arrange in house numbers. And finally, the name is seen. Please see, name is seen at the end, not in the beginning. He says, most of us get into problem because when we go to office, I worry about the house. When we are house, we are worried about the office. You would ask a question to us. How many of you take a motorcycle to your office, go into the office and wonder, did I lock the motorbike or not? A car also it happened. Did I lock the car or not? Or ladies will worry about, oh my God, I came in a hurry. Did I switch off the gas or not? The reason is that when you are putting off the gas, you are thinking of the office work. When you go to office, the gas comes back. He was telling me, be like post office. When you are doing this work, of course, very heavy, tense work I have. Concentrate on that. And Raja Raman, another thing he did for me, he was staying in Rati Nagar only, very close to my house. He'll telephone to me. What are you doing in the evening? Nothing, sir. Come home. Come home. Such a busy man. I could not imagine. He would go into the room. There's one room. There's a beautiful piano kept there. He was an excellent piano player. I'll sit there and ask me, you want Beethoven 12th symphony or 13th symphony? I told him, sir, both are same to me. My eyes are not tuned to Western music. Therefore, you play anything, I enjoy seeing you. He would play for 45 minutes, thoroughly enjoy. Then he'll get back into the work. He told me the best way to redeem your pressure is to find a hobby for you. Some hobby for you. When you are a small child, perhaps you are a very good singer, you are a very good artist. Develop that habit. Listening to music is one stress buster. And secondly, when you come back, when you're driving back from your office home, listen to some soothing music. It prepares you for a change. Prepares you for a change. The office work. Don't worry, when you finish the work there, when you're working in the office, completely work on that. When you come back, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. If you continue to worry, this becomes a stress. He gives an example. Imagine, think of the hottest place in the world. Think, say, Nigeria. And think of the hottest day of the year, 21st of May. Think of the hottest time of the day, afternoon 1:30. It is blistering hot, 50 degrees Celsius. Imagine you got a big magnifying lens and a thin tissue paper. Can you not burn a hole in the paper? Very easy. Put on the focal point, sir, the paper burns. But he said it will not be able to burn because if your hand is shaking. Everything is ideal. Hot place, hot day, hot time, best lens and thin paper. You will not be able to burn if your hand is shaking. But an ordinary Bangalore day, take a normal magnifying lens and a thick brown paper. If you keep your hand steady, you will be able to burn it. This is about our life. If I am focusing on what I am doing, only that. And once that is over, push it out. Go to the next one. Then it will be possible. Stress does not become stress.
So thanks, sir. Very right.
Sorry,
Mind-
Lavanya, I have one more question from Allama Prabhu. Sir, if you agree, I will take that question. I'll ask him, sir.
He's a very good friend of mine.
Lavanya, you are sorry, but we have to take one more. We are out of the time.
Answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Manish, please allow Allama Prabhu to speak.
Hello?
Hello, namaste, sir.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಇಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪುಟ್ಟಲೇಖನ, ಇಲ್ಲ ರೈನ್ಬೋ FM ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ, ಉಲ್ಲಾಸ, ತಿಳುವಳಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಜ್ಞಾನನ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನಂತ ಅನೇಕರು ತಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿಗಳು ಪಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಅನುಮತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನನ್ನದೊಂದು 2 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದೆ.
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
Sir, for parents, children are children, whatever may be their age. Even when they are fully grown up, parents will be showing anxiety and giving them caution words. Husharagirappa, drive madbekar hushar, all these things will be told by the parents. But sometimes it may cause irritancy to the grown-ups and they may also feel bad. ಏನು ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡವನಾಗಿದ್ರು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಥರ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಇಂಥ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಆತಂಕಗಳು ಬೇರೆ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಹಂಚ್ಕೋಬೇಕು?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಸರ್. ಮಗುಗೆ ನಾವು ಶೂಸ್ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, 5 ವರ್ಷ ಮಗುಗೆ ಶೂಸ್ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ಶೂಸ್ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಹಾಕೊಳಕ್ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? ದ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ವೇರ್ ದ ಶೂ. ವೆರಿ ಅನ್ಕಂಫರ್ಟಬಲ್. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ನನ್ ಬೆರಳೆಲ್ಲ ಮಡಚ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಶೂಸ್ ಕೊಡಿಸು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? As the same shoe does not work for a 10-year-old, same philosophy will also not work for a 10-year-old. What is ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಲಾಲಯೇ ಪಂಚವರ್ಷಾಣಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. 5 ವರ್ಷ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ತೋರಿಸಿ, ಆ ವಯಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಅದೇ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಮುಂದೆ 10 ವರ್ಷಾಣಿ ತಾಡಯೇತ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ. ತಾಡಯೇತ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್. 5 ವರ್ಷ ನೀವು ಪ್ರೀತಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದೇನು ಹಾಗೆ ಮುದ್ದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಡಿ, ಮಗುನ ಹಾಳು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಮುಂದೆ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 5ರಿಂದ 10 ವರ್ಷ 15 ವರ್ಷದವರೆಗೂ ತಾಡೈ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಂದ್ರೆ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ. ಟೆಲ್ ದೆಮ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೈಟ್ ವೇ ಆಫ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್, ಥ್ರೂ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್, ಥ್ರೂ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದೆಮ್, ಥ್ರೂ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್, ಅನೆಕ್ಡೋಟ್ಸ್, ಮಾದರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹಾಕೊಡಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಆ ವಯಸ್ಸಲ್ಲೇ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಮೊನ್ನೆೊಬ್ಬರು ನನ್ನ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ನನ್ನ ಮಗ ಬಹಳ ಉದ್ದಾಟ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಸರ್, ತಿರುಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ, ನೀವು ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮಗುಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ವಯಸ್ಸು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. 32 ಸರ್ ಅಂದ್ರು. ನಾನಂದೆ ಬಹಳ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು, 3-2 ಯುದ್ಧ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, 32ಕ್ಕೆ. ಈಗ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದು ಸಸಿ ನೆಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ ನಾವು ಕಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಒಂದು ಕಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಬೇಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೇವೆ. 2 ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಇದು. ಕಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಡೋದು ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಬೇಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದು ಅಡ್ಡ ದಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ. ನೀವು ಬಹಳ ಚಂದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಅದನ್ನ. ಸಣ್ಣ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿದ್ದಾಗ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಹೀಗ್ ಮಾಡು ಅಂತ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮುಂದೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಡಿ, ನ್ಯಾಗಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು, ನ್ಯಾಗಿಂಗ್ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಿ. ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯಮ್ಮ, ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಲ, ಇರಿಟೇಬಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಹುಡುಗರು. ಬೇಡ, ಮೈಂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೆನ್ಸಿಟಿವ್ ದೇನೋ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಕಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಬೇಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನಿಂಗ್. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಅಲೌ ಹಿಮ್ ಟು ಗೋ ದಿಸ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಸೈಡ್. ಅಲೌ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಬಿಗಿ ಹಿಡಿದು ಕೂಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. ಗಿವ್ ಹಿಮ್ ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ಸ್, ಗಿವ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಈ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಯಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ದಾರಿ ತಪ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸಿದಾಗ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೆಜರ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಅರ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಲೇಟ್, observe. Sometimes I tell you very wrong, but sometimes you can do it. Check the bag of the child when the child is there. ಏನೋ ಸಾಮಾನು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದ ಹಾಗೆ. It could be a cigarette pack, we don't know. When he started learning cigarette smoking, we don't know. Correct it immediately. ತಡ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಹಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಇಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿ, ಆ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಕೊಡಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಿಂತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಡಿ.
ಸರಿ.
Because most of us are not professionally competent in helping the children. ಅದು ದಶ ವರ್ಷಾಣಿ ತಾಡಯೇತ್, 10 ವರ್ಷ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಮುಂದೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು? ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತೇಶು ಷೋಡಶೇ ವರ್ಷೆ, when the child becomes 16-year-old, putre mitravadacharet, son or daughter, treat them like friends. This is more important. Give them responsibilities. They are capable of taking responsibilities. ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ದು ಅದೇ ನನಗೆ. ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ನನ್ನ ಸಂಬಳ ಇಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ನೀನು ಕೂಡ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ. ಉಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸೈಕಲ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಸೈಕಲ್. ನಮ್ಮಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀನಪ್ಪ, ನನಗೇನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಸಂಬಳ ಇಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಇದು ಉಳಿಸ್ಬಿಡು, ನೀನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡು, ಸೈಕಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡು. ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡು, ಮೊದಲು ನಾವೇ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದವರು. ನಾವು ಯಾರು ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್? ನಾವು ಖರ್ಚು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಬೇಡ, ದುಡ್ಡು ಉಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ದುಡ್ಡು ಉಳಿಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಪ್ಪಗೆ ಸೈಕಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋ, ಅದ್ರ ಅಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲ, ದುಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈಕಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಅಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳೋ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಸೈಕಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋ ಅಂದ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ದುಡ್ಡು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ. ಮತ್ತೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯ ಅಂದ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡು, 6 ತಿಂಗಳು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಉಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ತಗೋತೀನಿ. I knew self-restraint, I knew how to manage it, because responsibility is given to me. Prapteshu shodashe varshe. The child comes to 16, don't treat him like a child. You like it? ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಮಲೆ ನೋಡಿ, 8 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಗುಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡಿ, don't talk to me like that ಅಂತ. ಹುಡುಗ, I'm big now, don't talk to me like that. The self-esteem should not be hurt. Therefore, advise at the love in the up to 5 years, discipline up to the next 10 years. After that, treat them like friends. Give them responsibilities of management. They will do that.
Chairman sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Sir, if you permit me, I have one more question.
Yeah.
I think if sir says okay, I have no issues.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I have a very profound question.
Yes, sir.
Lack of face-by-face sex education has
Lack
become face-by-face sex education has become root cause for many sex-related crimes committed by the teenagers.
Yeah.
Almost all parents in India are from conventional background and can't impart the required sex education effectively at the right time. What is your advice for the parents with respect to this issue?
Very good. In fact, you don't expect the same type of affection received from your parents onto your children. Generation is changing very fast. Technology has changed our life as never before. And the world is moving very fast. I can give an example. It has been done and testified. I was in Geneva at that time. They wanted to know how the world is changing fast. They've asked a question, what is the midpoint between 0 and 2000 years? What is the midpoint between 0 and 2000 years? Mathematically 1000 years. But sociologically, do you know, the midpoint is not 1000 years, it's 1900. That means whatever happened in the last 100 years is comparable to what happened in the previous 1900 years. Then they ask the next question. Okay, then what is the midpoint between 2000 and 1900 and 2000? I was willing to accept 1960 or 1970. I looked at the report. I was shocked. It says the midpoint between 1900 and 2000 is 1992. That means whatever happened in the last 8 years of the previous century is comparable to what happened in the previous 92 years. Are we not witness to this, sir? There was mobile phone 25 years ago and we lived comfortably.
Yes.
Everything is so fast today. Whatever happened yesterday will not happen tomorrow. And children belong to that age. Children belong to that age. They see suddenly things exploding before them. And I, in a conventional way, don't do that, you do this, you do this. They feel frustrated. I don't say give them freedom to do anything they like. No, but I should also change my style. I'll give an example to this and stop. My friend who lived in India and studied in India and went to Germany and settled there. His son is grown up now, he's a 16-year-old boy. One day his wife spoke to me. We are very family friends. He said, Guru, you should do something for my son. I said, what happened? Father and son do not get along. They always fight with one another. House atmosphere is terrible. My son, she uses the word, my son hates my husband. What do I do now? How much can be a buffer between them? I said, what is the problem? She told me, my husband studied in India and he was a great fan of cricket. In Germany, there is no cricket. They like soccer and baseball. This son likes baseball like anything. He is very great fan of baseball. And father says, what useless baseball? Huh? Cricket is so beautiful. And child loves baseball. He thinks the child should also follow cricket. What is cricket in Germany? And every time small issues, my father says something to child, child something to father. I called up my friend and said, look, you may not like baseball. Do you like your son? He said, yes. Then like baseball also. I told him, if you like your son, like baseball. Read about baseball. Talk about baseball. See, very simple thing, sir. If two people have to come together, there should be common thinking between them. Something common between them. If there's nothing to hold between the two, they go poles apart. And this fellow took it seriously. And then when I went to Germany, I went to place. And then his wife told me he have gone for a trip. They're coming 3 days later. Who has gone? Father and son have gone together. They are great buddies now. What has happened? This boy started studying about baseball, started liking it, then talked about baseball, and child got excited. Oh, father also likes baseball. It started as a baseball talk between them, match, event, scores, and all that. And that spread into other aspects of life also. And now what the father did was, he took ticket for the season ticket for round tour baseball tournament. They play series like our IPL. They play there. And this boy, father took the son, and they were talking to each other. Oh, this will happen, this will happen. The whole talk was around baseball only. And my friend told me later on at the night, we were sitting talking to each other. He said, Guru, I'm grateful to you. You gave my son back to me. I said, I did not. You found it yourself. If there is no common point of agreement, how can you bring people together? So therefore, both parents should realize that this is not the old time. I should appreciate and respect. If you respect the child, child will respect you. If you insult the child, child will not have a good opinion about you. Child is individual. He has his own ego. We can't ignore it. Therefore, find out what he or she likes. Talk about it. Tell him about the strength and weakness of that. Slowly and slowly, you should also accommodate. By being conventional, always saying, oh, I was doing this, you should also do. Remember all mantras and by heart mantras. Okay, sit together and listen. Oh, 6 o'clock, come back home. Don't talk. This will not work. Because the times have changed. And if I don't change your time, time will change you. Time will change you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Srinivas.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent session. We thoroughly enjoyed.
Thank you.
I thank on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICA for time and effort sharing your valuable knowledge, sir.
Thank
We
you,
see
sir.
to hear more and more from you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Next
much.
meeting will be
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you,
It's a
sir.
memorable event for all of us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.